It's intrinsically tied to the history and the heritage of the city. It's what the city was built on. You know, this idea of the workers going with this common wrapped lunch or dinner that they could throw into the bottle kilns to warm up and stuff, you know, it's such a great story.
So now that in the pottery's duck, where dwells a mighty race, us Stokies call it Oatcake land. It is a blessed place, for here they find a right good treat, the oatcake it's got by. In Stoke it in a top by out, indeed, what more to say? With cheese and bacon oozing out, they knowst what life is for. When sauce is dripping down the chin, they wouldn't want for more.
Staffordshire oatcakes. Water, milk, yeast and flour. Simple ingredients for a food with so much history. This isn't a Scottish oatcake or a Derbyshire one either. There's only one oatcake for the people who live here. Wherever you're from in the 6 towns, you're never far away from an oatcake shop, but you'll know where one is, even if you don't eat them. Everywhere has its regional food, like Cornwall and its Cornish pasties. So what makes the oatcake special? Just ask a native. They'll tell you.
For me, oatcakes, I've sort of grown up with them all my life. My grandma used to make them when I was about 4 or 5. They were always sort of like a treat, especially oatcakes and cheese. They would make a very nice mealtime.
I had oatcake last week here for the first time in absolute ages. Cheese.
Cheese, just normal cheese?
Yeah, just cheese, melted.
Well, as I just mentioned to you before, I'm a vegan these days. I don't often have them, but when I do, I sometimes make them myself. Or I have a brand called, you like to mention brand names? Povies, because they are vegan and they're made, I don't know where they're made, Fenton or Longton. But it's tricky because if you don't eat cheese and if you don't eat bacon and you don't eat sausage, you've exited the world of the oatcake. But you can use vegan cheese, which I've done quite recently, a couple of weeks ago. And it's nice, you know, and brown sauce. It's a taste match made in heaven.
I am an absolute whore when it comes to my oatcakes. I'll do anything. I'll just do, yeah. No, if it's savoury and it's my savoury week, I'll do savoury. If it's sweet, I'll go sweet. However I'm feeling. Obviously, with peanut butter and honey and banana, then you kind of got a little bit of both there. So is that salty and sweet?
Sacrilege.
Oh, is it?
Sacrilege, yeah. So what's special about the oatcakes? Well, I'll tell you what I think is special about the oatcakes is you only get them in Stoke, especially like the ones that we do. These ones, that's big for your breakfast, and it's a traditional working person's food. Yeah, so it's one of those that's been around for a while, and it's the connection with the culture of Stoke and the history of Stoke is what makes, to me, the oatcake special.
That is a good question. I would say they mean a little bit more than food. They mean, again, like that connection, but they are intrinsically connected to food, at least in my mind. It's a food that brings pleasure, like a comfort food.
Okay, so I was born in Stoke-on-Trent and moved away for many, many years and now work here. So the oatcake for me does mean something quite considerable because my father worked in the pot banks and the pottery industry for many years. So I know that he used to take oatcakes to work with him, and there's all that kind of historical thing. Basically, the oatcake is the equivalent to the Cornish pasty in down south. So yeah, it does mean something to me. It's very much part of my childhood of Stoke. The whole experience of going and buying oatcakes and then filling them is kind of really great, and it's something that I do with my daughter, and she likes them too. So even though she wasn't born in Stoke and she doesn't live in Stoke, she does have these little Stokey kind of ticks that she's picked up from her old dad.
I think they are representative of Stoke, and I live in Staffordshire, and you can see that local suppliers still give them. They're kind of sold in the local shops, they're sold at local farm shops, they're sold even at our local petrol station.
Well, they've always been around. I mean, you'll find that anyone from North Staffordshire is familiar with oatcakes, and every home in North Staffordshire, I should think, unless they really hate them, has oatcakes on a regular basis. But I mean, I've always known them. I mean, now I see them all the time. Well, my daughter lives on them. My youngest daughter, she has them every week, several times. She always has cheese and olives. They have to be, well, this is why I do them, cook them from frozen. You get a frozen oatcake at the bottom with the cheese and grated cheese and the olives, another frozen oatcake on top, 1 minute in the microwave so it's all softened, and then she insists that they go in the frying pan because then they crisp up a bit as well.
Because I was at uni myself, I did a bit of a project on the oatcake myself. I went to Staffs, not as prestigious as your uni. Stoke's very unique in the sense of its history. You know, so the first unions, some of them were formed in Stoke, especially the Potters unions. Yeah. One of them was formed in Hanley. That's the building where it was is no longer here. And the Stokes always had this sort of rebellious streak in a way. When I was doing my own research, as daft as it sounds, into the oatcake, I came across when they first introduced police into a place called Longton. And Longton had lots of pot banks, so there was lots of oatcake shops there. But the protest at the police, they had to send the military in to suppress the riots. And this is daft, but you wouldn't think that now looking at Stoke. Yeah. But in that, the oatcake all comes back to the working class people, yeah, sticking it to the people, the elite, yeah. And it's an interesting food that goes with an interesting group of individuals and group of people and a culture.
There's a greeting in Staffordshire.
Hey up, duck.
Hey up, duck, how at?
Hey up, duck.
Hey up, duck, how at?
It comes from the Norse word for duke, and eventually it just became duck. It's been that way since Shakespeare, and that speaks to just how much tradition means to the people of Stoke. What's it got to do with oatcakes? It's about sharing their history and being a part of it. The people from Stoke-on-Trent may never know why they say duck, but that's not the point. It's about their home. And so are oatcakes. It's as Stoke as Stanley Matthews. As Stoke as pottery. As Stoke as Northern soul. There's something for everyone in Stoke. There's an oatcake for them too, and then we'll all have a little something to share, thanks to a common, wrapped lunch.